All right, we got him here. Let's bring him in. Nikko Locastro, ladies and gentlemen, finally made it on Tour Life. We've been talking about this for several months now, about when you were going to finally make your appearance. It is now, and I'm very happy because there's a lot to discuss, Nikko. A lot is going on. A lot has been going on these last couple weeks. So I don't know if you planned this perfectly or if it just worked out this way. But how's it going, brother?
It's going pretty good, man. Not too bad. I was out helping design a disc golf course today. Lonestar reached out to me, and they had this new course project lined up. So I went to go see the new property, and I spent most of the day doing that. So it was fun. It's a good time.
Okay, well, you mentioned it, so let's talk about it. A lot of talk on Lonestar right now, right?
Right.
There was the signing of the dog. There was everyone that like applied to be on the ambassador team or ranger team or whatever it was called. Everyone got it. There was all that. And then now the last few days, crazy stuff is going on. No one knows what's happening. So let me break down what has happened, like the major things that are going, right? Is we see Chandler Kramer leave Lonestar. We see someone makes a tweet alluding that like Robert Burridge isn't coming back to Lonestar, which Robert Burridge, breaking news, is coming back. He just re-signed. He posted that on his Instagram, so congrats to him. We see Hooligan depart from Lonestar. They tweet out, after much consideration, we have decided to part ways with Lonestar Disc as our manufacturer. The past year and a half have been amazing, and we truly appreciate Lonestar for helping us get up and running. Then you have Josh Hofstra, who was, I believe, the marketing, one of the marketing heads at Lonestar. He ends up leaving, but doesn't really have anywhere to go, which also Chandler Kramer like leaves and kind of crowdsources to his followers, like, hey, who should I play with next? Who should sign me? So it doesn't seem like he really has any idea where he's going. And then Josh Hofstra also on Twitter says it all boils down to one person making bad business decisions for a company. That's it.
Man,
what is happening, Nikko?
You guys are coming in hot. You want me to answer all the questions? I thought we were going to ease into this. We were going to talk a little bit.
You brought up Lonestar to start, and no one knows what the heck's happening.
I should have known you guys were coming in hot. I thought we were going to ease into it. Let's talk a little bit about the Pro Tour. You know.
We'll get to the good stuff here. Well, I want to talk about your course. I want to get all that. I will get into it. But I mean, the big question right now is Lonestar, like that. And you can say what you want as far as like bad press, good press, whatever. People are talking about Lonestar.
Oh, yeah.
And no one has any, I don't think anyone outside of the bubble knows what's going on. So are you able to fill us in a little bit on what's happening over there? I mean, still with Lonestar?
I'm definitely currently still with Lonestar.
Okay.
I have a multiple-year agreement with Lonestar Disc, but as far as any of that goes, I think those questions cannot be directly answered by me. I think that I could give some insight. I believe that the company has to make certain business decisions based on, you know, how they want their business to run and operate. And I really think it comes down to they want to focus more on like amateur players and getting people to just promote the sport of disc golf and focus on juniors and amateurs more than putting their money into just professionals. So I think that the first couple years of business, they put a lot into disc golf and into the industry. They sponsored a fair amount of players. They came out with a lot of molds. So I think it's just, you know, budgeting and figuring out what's best for their company in the long run, which I've had some conversations, and I believe it comes down to just focusing on the new players and the new people that are playing disc golf and not putting everything into the pro side. So that's kind of where I believe it is.
Well, maybe we'll have this Josh Hofstra guy come on. Maybe someone from Lonestar will want to come on and kind of, because what it sounds like again, if I get canned from my job, right? If I get fired from my job, is there more of a chance of me maybe saying some stuff that might not be true, and then the company's saying so? We might have to try to get a little bit more to the bottom of it, even if it will come out to this. But my only interaction with Lonestar and Yuli, I don't know what your interaction has been. My only interaction was the tournament that we played down in Austin, the Texas State Championship. Yeah. I love that tournament. That was my only interaction with Lonestar. They sponsored it. It seemed like they were the ones that kind of said, this is the course. It seemed like, and I know the people at Belton also, we used to play up at Belton. I know they were also affiliated as well. But a lot of times these tournaments, like D-Glow, Discraft is a major person with the D-Glow tournament. So my interaction with Lonestar, other than all the social media stuff, has been a positive one.
So
what do you have to say about
it? I've met a few of them and only good things to say about them. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like they've done a lot for the disc golf community in a short period of time. I know for a fact they're sponsoring a lot of the college teams, and they really want to focus on like the new players and the new up and comers. And I feel like that's part of the direction of the company and where they want to go is just getting new players to promote the sport of disc golf. You know.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, the way that they're going about. Like the way that is it Ranger team? I don't want to say it incorrectly. Is it
It is.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. I can see how that is beneficial for some, right? Of where, hey, I don't have money to buy discs. This helps me out, get some free discs, whatever. I can see how that works. I know some companies can definitely abuse that, right? And I've talked about that on here of where, hey, if a company says we're going to send you a couple free discs, but then the rest of your discs have to be our discs only, that could end up being not a great deal for you, right? You kind of have to see what makes sense for you. And there could be just some things that are like a little bit of an oversight, right? Like the dog signing, like there could just be a little bit of an oversight of like, hey, everyone that's coming in.
Have we seen this dog play before? We don't know. We don't know.
They could be nasty.
I don't think that's the worst thing in the world. I feel like, to me, from my
funny.
point, I thought it was funny. I was just funny. Like, that's cool. We got a dog on the team. You know what I mean?
The thing that they did really well with that is they rolled with it, right? If they would have tried to be like, no, we didn't sign a dog. No, like they tried to they put the dog on the website. Like they rolled with it, right? Yeah. And so I think that's huge. Is like rolling with the punches. We're all gonna make mistakes. We're all gonna say stupid stuff. You just gotta sometimes roll with the punches. So, all right, let's get to the actual big news and why a big reason why we wanted you on the show. You decided to post this freaking little cryptic thing the other day of where you're like, ooh, what's going on? And everyone in the comments trying to guess, like, is he leaving Lonestar? What's happening? People, I didn't even realize you had like a product in the thing that people were thinking like he was getting sponsored by that product. Turns out, and we'll pull it up and I'll read it off here for the people that maybe haven't seen it. Turns out you bought a disc golf course. And let's see here. Was my internet like somehow slow on everything but here? Oh, here we go. So you say, lots of paperwork later, I finally closed on 130 acres to build a championship level disc golf course and pro shop in Houston, Texas. I'm excited to share this project with the community. We plan to offer a fun and recreational style layout on the property, as well as a driving range and glow course. Thank you to Lonestar for their support throughout the year, the Houston disc golf scene for welcoming me, and the entire disc golf community for sharing the passion of disc golf. Thank you to all the people who have showed love along the way. Can't wait to share more about this venture. And it goes on to kind of show like this aerial, beautiful property that you have. So first question, how did you find this property? Where did this come from?
To be honest, I feel like it kind of fell on my lap in the sense that during Texas States, I came out here and I stayed with a friend, Grant Fisher. He has a property where I'm staying now. He's got a private disc golf course on like 15 acres. And I was parked out here and we just stayed in touch. He hit me up and sent me a message and was like, I have something that you might want to be involved in. And we went back and forth. He showed me some pictures. He told me about this course that has the potential to turn into a championship level disc golf course. And I took a chance on it. I flew out here at the beginning of the off season and I took a gamble. I got like a $500 flight back and forth just to see the property. And then once I put my eyes on it, I was like, yes, I see the opportunity in it. You know what I mean? I think Houston is one of the biggest areas for disc golf, and we have a lot of people, a lot of clubs, a lot of members, and the property's amazing. You know, I bought my first chainsaw, and I've been out there doing some real labor, some work, and it makes me feel good, you know, just to start working on a project. And I feel like, you know, it's something I've wanted to do for a really long time, and I've had my hand in different course designs, you know, throughout my career, but I feel like this is the first time that I'm going to build a course from the beginning stages and see it all the way through. So it's a 100% committed effort, and there's a lot of work to do, but luckily I feel like I have a lot of people on my side out here, and there's been a lot of people that have already stepped out to come out and help me work on the course. And you know, we're partnering with several people, and we want to make it like truly a disc golf destination where I think people are going to want to come check this one out. I think it's going to be on the bucket list for sure. You know, we're already up to like a par 70, and I think we could definitely make it a par 72. And we're going to have a championship layout, but I want to offer the recreational side of disc golf too. So we're going to have some shorter tee pads. And
is there enough room for multiple courses, or is it just going to be one championship courses with different tee pads all the way down the line?
We definitely have room for multiple courses, but right now I want to focus on the championship layout. You know, the tournament, the circuit is going to start very soon, and I'm just committed to trying to get this thing off the ground before I get back on tour. And we all know how quickly 2 or 3 months goes by when you're not playing on the tour. So
that was gonna be my next question. So you're not planning on slowing down next year for touring. You're gonna do a full tour.
I'm definitely planning on doing a full tour. I considered the option to take like the first month off tour and continue to work out here, but we'll see how it goes. I think we're going to be able to finish the project and have the course and pro shop ready to launch. It's been a nonstop commitment. You know, I've been on the phone and emails and ordering discs and ordering stuff and talking to contractors and making sure we're going to get this thing off the ground. So I have somebody over there coming tomorrow to work on the flooring, putting some shelves in there, setting up a point of sale system. So, you know, it's a multi-layered project. You know, there's a lot of acres to cover, and you know, it's going to take a lot of effort to see it all the way through. But we've been out there, and we have a lot of the holes already, you know, cut down with trees. So the next part of the project is going to be getting a hydro axe in there and literally just laying down turning it into mulch at that point.
How's been the community around there? Have they been super supportive of the project?
I mean, to be honest, people have mostly had all like positive reaction to trying to put a championship level course, and people are saying that Houston really needs a big boy course and like a training facility. So, you know, the long-term goal in this is to eventually have a pro tour stop out there. And during the off season, I'd like to set up, you know, training camps, you know, to set it up and invite some other pros out and kind of make it like, Yuli might be familiar, but Camp Woodward, they did this in skateboarding where they have pros. And Brody, you might have heard of that too, but you know, that's the goal, is to create a training facility. And I feel like that's a step in the right direction for the future of disc golf, is having these private facilities that can just raise the bar of what disc golf could be.
Yep.
Yeah, love it. Yeah. I mean, we had Kale on just before you, and I was talking about how, you know, you have Kale kind of being one of the first. I'm sure there's probably someone other than Kale. And then Paul and Dylan getting into the course that were, you know, the chess.com invitational. Now you here getting some land as well. So I think it's all good things for disc golf for sure. Any course names? I saw Indian Shores. That's the
area in the community, and I think we're just going to run with it and call it the Indian Shores Disc Golf Club. You know, I want to set up a country club style setting and open up for memberships and make it affordable to the community, and not try to set the bar at such a like high dollar rate that it's going to be hard to get people. I just want to charge, you know, $10-15 and have some golf carts available for people to come out and just have that private area. So
one of our favorite things to do at Foundation is when I first got into it is kind of sit around and always just like be like what the heck is this person going to be doing? Like when they stop touring, like
Yeah.
they don't have any money. Like what? Now, obviously, there's a little bit more money getting involved into disc golf, but for a while there was a lot of guys that would, they would just tour around, they'd make money, they spend the money they made, and they just keep kind of going. Is this like a long-term investment plan too, a little bit of where you're like, hey, when I can't play anymore, like this is something that I can put a lot of my time, effort in, and hopefully this is the, long-term investment?
I'm looking at long term on a situation like this. It's like I said, this is a 100% commitment in order to see it all the way through. A disc golf course doesn't just happen overnight, and I've already been out there for hundreds of hours just on the course design layout. Before we ever cut a tree, I've already spent a lot of time just walking into the property and seeing all the beauty. You know what I mean? Like, my uncle has designed courses his whole life, so I spent a lot of time just going through the design process, and I'm excited. Like every day I wake up, I'm excited to get back out there to the course and just offer the community something really nice in Houston, and then just eventually have people come in from like out of state, as create a course that people want to come to from other surrounding areas, not just Houston.
What are going to be some like the biggest hurdles that you guys are going to have to go through?
I mean, there's a list of hurdles that I'm going to have to get over, but right now it's the timing of it. I want to have the course operational by March. So I think that's the first hurdle that I need to get through. And if I want to, there's enough land that we can lay out 18 baskets and have a playable course, but I want to get those wooded holes carved out so it's not just a regular bog off style open course. So there's several factors I'm thinking of. Shade, it's going to get really hot in Texas, so I want to create as many shaded holes as possible, and that means going through the woods and using all of the land, not just the open fairways.
Gotcha. What is the have you already started looking into how to get a course potentially on tour? Have you already started to make those connections with the people on the Disc Golf Pro Tour?
A little bit. I actually talked to Vandergriff out here. He's kind of one of the main guys that he runs a lot of tournaments. So it's Guerrilla Disc Golf. They host a lot of events out in Texas. So I talked to him, and I believe we're going to be able to host the juniors and the MA4 out here. So I think that during 2024, I think we'll be able to have the Texas states play some of their rounds out here if we can get the course done in time. So there's been a lot of talks with members of the community and the people that are already hosting tournaments out here and such.
That's sick. Yeah, just seeing some of the drone footage and stuff, it definitely looks like you have some sick land out there. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even be able to tell you I would have no idea like where to start. That's why everyone that's always asked me like, hey, when are you going to design a course? I always tell people, listen, I would have no idea what I was doing. I think my expertise is like a course that's already kind of got the bones. Right. I can kind of come in and be like, hey, you need to put hazard here. Hey, this tree needs to I think I'm decent at that.
Right.
I would have no idea just being like, hey, you have to make a hole here. I'd be like, I don't see it. I see a bunch of trees.
So for Nikko, for the listeners, can you paint a picture of what style of course is this going to be? Because you're talking about woods and shade and everything, and for people who want to make a destination, like trip, explain what are you trying to design at this course?
So the main part is offering a championship layout that's going to really challenge people. I'm going to have a lot of par fours, and I think right now we have at least 4 par 5s on the course on the championship layout. But when I'm wanting to make it a destination, I'm also thinking we have to offer the blue level tees and even the novice tees if we really want like families to come out to the venue and not just people that throw long shots. I really want to offer a variety of different shots. So I want to have a little bit of everything. You know, we've got 5 different ponds on the property, so we're going to have several water carries. You know, I want to have left to right shots, low ceiling. There's going to be some rollers and a lot of placement shots. You know, we play these courses out on tour that really turn into a long drive contest. And I don't want it just to be a long drive contest out there. I want to make sure that there's specific landing zones that set you up for the next play. You know, both of you guys play golf, so I'm sure, you know, you're pretty aware.
Yeah, I love that.
You have to set yourself up in golf for those second and third shots when you're creating par 4s and par 5s. So, you know, I feel like I have good insight on what it takes to design a championship level course, but it's also, I'm learning along the way too. You know, I did take some risk and some gamble on doing this, and, you know, I'm looking at the long term, the risk reward, and it's going to feel good to see people enjoying themselves on the property. And when it finally comes together, I think that's when I'll be satisfied, is when you hear people say that was the best hole that I've ever played in disc golf. And right now, I feel like we have some of the best holes, like definitely in the state of Texas, but, you know, I'm going to make it the best I can. And also when it comes to designing these courses, like you noticed out at Maple Hill, it's always the changes in the progression of a course continue after 1, 2, 5. After 10 years, it's not the exact same course that you play after year 1 and year 2. So my plan is to do, you know, turf tee pads at the beginning so I don't get locked into holes that I want to change over time. So there's a lot of thought that goes into this whole process of designing a disc golf course and making sure that it's going to be playable. And I want people to be happy. I don't want them to just go out there and get so beat up by the course they never want to come back.
Yeah, I'm always shocked when we go up to GMC and I see the resort people, you know, rent the discs out, and they're playing those championship level courses for the first time, like disc golf, and they're throwing like 50, 70 feet. I'm like, how is that fun? Like, what is like that can't be fun at all. Obviously it's a beautiful scenery and everything like that, but I love the idea that you're saying, hey, we're not going to make a course and then after the fact be like, oh crap, we need to like put shorter tees. Like, you're going into it thinking, hey, we also need to have this designed so that amateur beginner players could come out and still have a fun time. I love that.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, every time that I go back out to the property, little tweaks are being made where I'm moving the tee pad left 20 feet, I'm moving it up, I'm still modifying it as I go along. But right now I'm pretty happy about how far along we've got on the course in a short period of time. And, you know, it's just one of those things. I want to see it all the way through, and it's gonna take a little bit of time, and it's gonna take a lot of commitment. And you know, I'm happy with where it's at right now.
What about like its location? Is it off the beaten path, like from, let's say, like downtown Houston or where other courses?
It's a little bit off the beaten path. It's not directly in the city of Houston. I'm gonna say it's probably
a good thing.
A 30-minute trip out there. But when it comes to disc golf, I think people aren't too scared to hop in their car and drive
30 minutes isn't that far.
Right. So it's not way out there. I would say it's closer to a major city than the Preserve. And okay. I think the Preserve seems to be doing pretty solid with the traction that they get from Minneapolis and St. Paul. So I'm hoping that we can bring people out, and from the public response so far, people seem excited about it in this area for sure. That's awesome. That makes me excited too. I'm feeding off that same excitement. I'm like, man, I really got to get out there. I got to make sure this course is amazing, because it's got my name attached to it, and I want to be proud of the outcome of this project. Yeah.
I think you're also making it like a challenging course, one that has length in the sense of like how many throws you're going to have to throw out there. I think that's a big separator. You know, being someone that lives in Dallas, Texas, a lot of Texas courses are very similar, that they're old par 3 courses, and having a course in the area where you're like, okay, I can go out there and play disc golf and actually challenge myself. I think that's a big big step in the right direction as far as like trying to get someone to maybe drive 30 minutes or 40 minutes to a course versus just making another pitch and putt course.
Yeah, I want to have some other perks. Your pizza's there. I heard a dog in the background. But
is that Yuli? Yuli, your pizza, right?
So like I said, I want to provide some other perks to the community. Like we have the driving range. So one of my thoughts is having enough discs available where people can go in the pro shop and test out the Frisbee right on the driving range before you buy it. And I feel like that's something that could help get people out there and make sure that the store is stocked with the latest and greatest of discs from all the companies. So, I'm already ordering discs, and everything is a process. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a very large project to tackle, but I'm working. I'm working every day. I'm just want to make sure that it pops off the way I see it in my head.
Love that. All right, another post you made on Instagram, jiu-jitsu. You're in jiu-jitsu now. What what was the what was the drive to go out there and try to learn a new hobby, a new craft?
I've always been a follower of like MMA, and I've always liked to wrestle around and stuff. So I just thought, why not learn from some pros? Why not actually learn this art and also like the workout side? I feel like I've never got a better workout than I do from the jiu-jitsu training. So part of it was just off-season training, and then the other part was I would like to learn how to defend myself properly and just learn, man. I just want to be able to absorb some knowledge, and that's it. I love UFC. I love MMA. So I don't see this as something that I'm going to ever really get into like competition, but the thought has crossed my mind. Like I've went into some pretty hardcore wrestling matches with some of the guys there, and it's fun. Like I really feel like I have a passion to do it, and it's good for you. I think it's something that comes very natural for me, and it's something that humans have been doing since the beginning of time, and it's a lot of fun. So I'm enjoying it.
We've all seen those like public fights and bar fights that break out, and there's like that one guy that knows jiu-jitsu and just gets his hands on him, and it
climbs him like a tree.
Just completely completely silences, cancels out the threat, and it's just like, okay, like this guy's not moving. It's crazy. All right, let's jump in. Let's jump back into some other stuff here. If you're ready to go, Nikko, because I know you're ready for it.
I'm as ready as I'm gonna get.
So my first question is, if you could go back in time, would you change anything?
The answer is yes. I think the answer would be yes for everybody in the world. You know what I mean? Like, Of course I would go back and change some things, but I also look back and I'm pretty grateful for every avenue that got me to where I'm at, whether it was triumphs or downfalls. I feel like that's part of life. That's part of growing. And yeah, of course I would change some things about my life for sure.
Do you like kind of playing the heel role in a way? Do you like having, because the majority of people, I think me and you are similar in this way of where we actually have vocal people that do not like us.
Right.
But the majority of people on tour, they don't really post on social media. They don't really do, they don't have outbursts or anything like that while they're playing. So there's not really any sort of negative attraction towards them.
Right.
Do you like having that side though? Do you like being the heel, or do you wish, wish you could go back and kind of change some things to where you're like, hey, that's not me?
Well, of course, I think that's a little bit sensitive topic because I know that I've had some outbursts in the past, and I've had some things regarding my image that I feel like my name has been, in a way, I feel like my name has been ran through the mud and kind of like brushed under the rug in a lot of different ways. And as a man and just as a human, I think you want people's respect. You want the respect from your peers. And of course I want, everybody's respect in the whole disc golf community. So yeah, a part of me, wishes that I could have done certain things different. But then again, I really think about it and I'm like, I watch sports. I watch a lot of different sports, and there's nothing that I've ever done that you haven't seen in every other sport from at least half of the players in all these leagues. You can name every league, and people play with emotion. It's when you're a competitor, it's very often that emotions are part of competition. So, I'd be lying if I said I haven't let my emotions get the best of me. But then again, I feel like part of my emotions is what makes me who I am. And, I have a lot of passion. I have a lot of love for the sport of disc golf. And I feel like a lot of times that it's been broadcasted in a not my best light. You know what I'm saying? People don't get to see the full story. They get to see a 5 or 10-second clip and then a collage of my
Well,
worst
what
moment
a
ever
yeah.
caught on tape.
Well, what are some stories or some things that you've been involved in that you feel like you're being, misunderstood, or people maybe are taking out of context? Like, are there specific things that you can recount of, like, hey, people think this happened, that's not really what happened, to where you can kind of clear the air now?
I don't know if I'll ever be able to completely clear the air in the sense that there's footage out there of me being upset, but I don't think that makes me a terrible person that I've been upset over the years. I don't think people can really pull up a lot of dirt on me that I've actually been mean or ruthless to people. You know what I'm saying? And I think that the people that know me best know that I do a lot for the people around me, and I'm always giving out discs at the parks, and I'm always trying to, I'm trying to support people that are going through hard times in their life and just real life shit. You know what I'm saying? So I feel good about the person that I am. But yeah, of course, sometimes I think, man, that's when I see the internet drama and the people that still have negative things to say about me. Yeah, that stuff does hurt sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like, to go back, I want to be respected by people, and that's very important to me, especially at this stage in my career, that I want the respect from the fellow competitors, and I want the respect from our community. So yeah, it's something that I think about.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think, on one side, if you pulled the majority of your actions, and I'm just going to talk about the stuff
Yeah,
like on the course, right? Because
right.
I get, like, you see people commenting about stuff that you've posted on social media that is not revolving around disc golf, that might be more, whether it's religious beliefs, whether it's political beliefs. Like, I always try to stay away from that stuff as much as possible.
Right.
So if I just plucked you off and put you in another sport and you acted the same way, I think you would blend in way more than people think.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I
we
think
just
so,
saw
Brody.
I mean, we just saw Draymond Green, like, physically assault multiple people. We've
Yeah,
seen
that
we've
guy
seen
just
Ron Artest go into the crowd and literally try to kill a fan, right? And so, like, these are
sure. Sure.
these,
There's a lot of emotional outbursts. That's what I was
yes,
saying earlier. It's like, if you follow sports, there are a lot of emotional outbursts, but I really hope that people don't compare me to Draymond Green. I dislike Draymond Green. I mean, like, I'm not physically attacking people out there. I'm not trying to clothesline our competitors.
No,
You
I
know?
think I think part of it is, we play a game of golf too,
yeah.
which is a very, very tone deaf sport as far as that stuff. Like, you're supposed to be
Well,
even
tone down,
tone down.
not tone deaf.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Where you tone down as far as your emotions, right? And so when you see big outbursts, like let's use traditional golf for example, you don't see those guys with crazy outbursts. You do see them with
don't?
outbursts.
No, they do, Yuli. They
No,
definitely
no,
do.
no.
If you see it,
Can I finish my? Let me finish my point. You don't see it because the media is able to cut
Yes.
away,
Sure.
right? And they're trained
Sure.
to do these cutaways. If everybody filmed me, for example, my whole entire career, there's a big old video of me having the worst things ever, right? And having my outbursts and everything. Unfortunately, they haven't been caught on camera. And it's just like anything. When they are, it is your responsibility to take ownership of what happened for the world to see.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that you're one of the only people in the sport that has been caught in these situations and broadcasted to the world.
Right.
And
well, you're under a microscope now too.
Yeah, exactly.
That's that's the unfortunate thing that but to be fair, like you've kind of put yourself in that position,
exactly.
right?
That was what I was getting to.
Oh yeah.
And like for me, like I've played with you multiple times. I think we played at USDGC, I think last, right?
Yes.
And I think I commented to you saying like I noticed that your pace of play, which is something that, you know, Gannon Burr had this. A lot of people have. Jacob Curtis has this. Anyone that plays super slow, fans hate it. Mm-hmm. So I commented after a round saying like I noticed that you were actively like trying to play faster, and so that was something that I noticed. So I've never really had issues with you playing in person. The only thing that really stuck out to me that I was like, ooh, was obviously the incident at the European Open, right?
Sure.
Sure. And I didn't get the entire story. I wasn't there, so I couldn't see what he was saying. I couldn't see his eyes. I couldn't see really the face. So obviously there could have been some of him provoking you to kind of be combative in the way you did.
Uh-huh.
I think and again, I think you would probably agree with me. If you could go back in time, you'd probably handle that situation differently. The one thing that really bugged me, and correct me if this isn't right, is like after the round, you didn't want to settle it. Is that was the word on the street, is like they were trying to get in contact with you, PGA officials, to talk to you about it. And the word on the street was like you were basically avoiding it or didn't want to talk to anyone. What actually went down after the round?
I mean, I guess I'll get into the details of part of this story. So, to be honest, I sat inside the scoring tent for a little while with my shirt over my face like this to hide the tears, because I was extremely emotional at the time, because I knew that this was going to have an extreme backlash, and I was also facing some embarrassment that this was happening. But also there's a little bit of background on this story, and I really don't mind speaking on it, because I felt singled out at the time. And not only did I feel singled out, I believe 100% that I was singled out at the time, because there was an official following my card, and therefore I felt at a slight disadvantage, and there was two officials following the card. So there was just like I felt a tension within myself. And
were they requested? Do you know if they were like, did someone on the card say like, oh, these officials are following us because they're requested?
No. I believe that there was somebody sent directly to my card before the round even started. There was that's why I felt like I was at a disadvantage, because if I was the only one being timed, then I felt that it was an unfair situation, and I was holding on to that. And by the time, there was a lot of bottled up. By hole 18, I was shooting one of the best rounds on the course, and I moved from down the list up into the top 10 at the European Open, and it took a lot for me to get out there to the European Open. Like there's a background story. I was up for multiple days and had canceled flights, and it took me a really long time and a huge financial effort to get to the European Open. So it was just like, I just felt like there was a world of pressure on my shoulders, and the pressure got to me, and I snapped out a little bit, but I never laid hands on nobody. I wasn't cussing at anybody. It was a very tense situation that I was embarrassed about. So after I left the scoring area, I went to the vehicle, and then Jeff Jacquat he was the first person that gave me a warning on, I think it was like hole 8 or 9, and I was waiting for people to clear the fairway. That's why I wasn't throwing my shot. So therefore I felt like I was singled out at the time. And then he was the one that went to speak with me. He wanted to talk with me after I got a stroke, which I felt like at the time I felt like I was being robbed, with like someone reached into my pocket and took money out of my pocket. So that's the internal feeling that I was dealing with during that moment. And for him to want to come speak to me afterwards, it wasn't like it was just a very tense moment that I wish I could take back in time. Like, there was just so much bottled up emotion and animosity, and like I literally had tears bawling out of my eye uncontrollably. Like, this is one of the first times in my life that I ever remember crying, to the fact where I couldn't even control myself. Like, I was like like it was emotionally paralyzing at the time. So, I went in a little bit of those details, and it was just not my most proud moments in my life to go through something like that. And those next couple months after that, bad. That was really bad for me. That was really, really, really hard times in my life. I got dropped by both my sponsors. I felt like everybody in my life turned their back on me, and it was just I was depressed. Like, that was the hardest times in my life that I've ever had to go through. 100%. So yeah, man, that's a little bit of the background on that story. There was it was hard. It was hard times. I wouldn't wish that upon anybody, to go through that type of public shame and humility. And I was sad, man. I turned off my phone. I didn't answer my phone for a month. I literally sat inside the house and didn't even talk to anybody. Like, I didn't even go out to the disc golf course because I was so embarrassed. Like, I was tired of people talking down on my name. Like, I came to a pinnacle in my life, in my disc golf career, and I felt like at that moment, everything was crumbling. My entire life was crumbling to pieces. So I felt like it was just like a rebirth after that. Once I got over those stages of feeling like down and humiliated and depressed and embarrassed, I had to rebuild my entire life. And then I had to rebuild my image, and that's why I feel good, in a sense that I've had to come from a lot. I truly believe that I can write a book about my life, like a real underdog story. Somebody that came from nothing and ended up making it past challenging times and get to the better side of life. Because I know a lot of other people are dealing with very hard situations that they couldn't even explain to you on a podcast.
How did you get over that depression and stuff? Like, what were there certain people, or was it like a combination of a bunch of stuff?
I think it was, there were people in my corner no matter what. As much as people were hating on me, there was some positivity coming my way and saying, "We believe in you, Nikko. I know you can get through this." And I think that I just had to like reach deep within myself and find the belief that even though I make mistakes, that I got caught up in a bad spot. Like, I knew that I made a major mistake, especially like publicly on the 18th hole of the European Open in front of the European nation. And for people to see me like that, I just, I knew that I had to turn it around. I wasn't just going to stay depressed for the rest of my life. And that's why, I want to create a story in my life of success, that anybody in the world can overcome the worst of trials and tribulation. And like I was just pointing at, as much as we love disc golf isn't every part of life. It's only a fraction of a person's life. You know what I'm saying? So like, I just had to find the love, you know what I'm saying? Like I really had to focus on the love and knowing that I had to have love for myself, but also like feel the love from other people, because there were people that were showing me love even at my darkest hour. There were still people that were trying to shine light on me.
Do
There
you
were
think
still
do you think getting put in that situation again that you would do it differently? I know it's like
Of
you're
course,
going through
dude,
this,
Ari,
but
of
I feel
course,
like
Ari.
that's what a lot of people want to hear from
Yeah,
you. You know what I
Yeah, I was
mean? Is
gonna.
like the growth of you and
I
being
don't.
like, hey, if I was in that situation again, I'm not that guy.
What
Like,
What are
Yeah, I
some
don't, I
things?
don't want to have to get in anybody's face or nothing like that. As much as I can be a fiery person, I don't want to, I don't want to really bring any type of like pain or discomfort to anybody. And I feel like that was a very uncomfortable moment, not only for myself, but for the official and the people in Europe that, people, that's a prestigious event. And there's a lot of like respect and honor in Europe and in Finland, and people are, I think they're proper and formal. And I think for people to see that, it just made me, not only was it a bad look, but it made me feel not good inside. Like
yeah,
internally, that was the hardest thing that I think I've ever had to overcome in my life. Is just, I don't think many people can relate to being shamed publicly by hundreds and thousands of people. Like, I had death threats from people that were sending me messages saying, if I ever see you on the disc golf course, I'm gonna kill you. Why don't you come up and say that stuff to me, and that type of shit. Like I said, I wouldn't wish that type of situation upon anybody. So of course, yeah, if I can go back in time, I would have loved to handle that situation
yeah.
a lot differently.
So what are some steps? You mentioned you want to have the respect from your peers, the
Right.
players on tour, from fans as well. So what are some steps that people can look forward to seeing from you in 2024, with new changes? Like what are things that you're going to be working on? What are things that you're going to be focusing on to try to, maybe someone that's like, hey, I'm kind of on the fence on Nikko. He's done some stuff that I don't like,
Yeah.
but then there's other stuff that I do like. Like, what are some things that you're going to be changing with either, your actual emotions, like how you handle yourself, your play? Like, what are some things that people can expect to see in 2024?
Well, I don't see myself ever getting caught up in a situation like that again. So a part of it is being able to learn from mistakes that I've made. But I'm going through changes all the time. I'm trying to progress as a person. I'm trying to focus on my health, my career, and just being the best person that I could be on and off the disc golf course. So I think if anybody ever comes up to me and they really speak to me, they can make a judgment for themselves about what kind of person I am and how I treat people. I don't want people to just think about me from the public point of view. If people have anything to say, I want them to come up to me and speak to me. I think I'm a very personable human being. Like, I think I'm easy to talk to, and I think I'm a friendly person. So I think that it's just about making that judgment for yourself, and not just judging somebody from what you see on the internet. The
Yep.
internet only shows a piece of somebody's life, you know? So I think as far as like what they can expect to see from me, just, I try not to have these crazy expectations, but I want people to see me for who I am, and not just bits and pieces of information. Like, if somebody wants to learn about Nikko Locastro, I want them to come up and have a conversation with me, and then they can make a judgment from there.
Yeah, but there's there's hundreds of thousands of fans out there. Not
Right.
every single one of those people is going to be able to come up and have a personal conversation. A lot of them can, but you're speaking to a lot of people right now.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. So what is the question that you want to ask?
Well, I mean, I think, when you look at it, and again, like me and you are very similar in the sense that we have what you would call like haters, right? People that will go on our social media and make negative posts. I think maybe some of the things that I have done that have created that, I don't think if I went back in time, I don't think I would change anything, right? Like if I have an opinion on someone that isn't a positive opinion and that now creates someone that was a fan of that person or whatever, now that, you know, not like me, like I'm just going to keep it real. Right.
Right.
But I think with you, like there's been things like we talked about the European Open. We've talked about some of like the outbursts that you've had during tournaments. And then the other thing too is like the pace of play issues, right? Like, and those are the, like, are we going to see changes? Are we expected to see changes in those things going into 2024?
Yeah, I believe that I've worked on my routine a lot, and the whole pace of play thing, I think that I've developed a much better routine than I've had in the past. So I'm hoping that that will definitely have less people hating on me. But the internet is a vicious place. I don't know if I'll ever be able to stop people's negative opinion, but if I focus on the positives and I focus on building community, I focus on positive relationships, you know, focus on just working with the youth, focus on my disc golf course out here, and just focus on being the best player that I can without having future outbursts and without having a future in disc golf where people only think about me as the time violation guy, the European Open guy. You know, I want people to see me in the light. I want them to see me win tournaments and work on my time and just I'm trying to be the best person I can, man, and I hope that the community can see that in the future, and I hope that the people that we play against, all our competitors, and I think that I do have good camaraderie with all of you guys. You know, people might say something behind each other's back every once in a while. That's life, man. People always have something to say, but when it really comes down to it, I feel like I have a good relationship with everybody on tour. People always ask, like, who do you hate to play with, Nikko? And that's always a hard question for me. And I'm just like, I don't really think I dislike anybody on tour. I don't think I really dislike to play with anybody on the disc golf tour. So
maybe that's for a different podcast. There's definitely a couple people where if they're having a bad day, I'm like, oh gosh, I have to play with this guy.
Yeah,
go ahead, Yuli.
No, I was just gonna say, I mean, Nikko and my career have pretty much paralleled each other since our amateur days, and we've played a lot of golf together over the years. And I have a ton of respect for him because of the grind that he's always had to become a better player. And I've personally seen him do some amazing things on the course and off the course, without a doubt. We've also had our scuffles in rounds, but we've maintained a pretty dang good friendship through the whole thing. And I just wish you the best, man. I honestly do. I hope that you can keep working on those things and working on, like you said, in community. I feel like that's a big thing. Help your community. And, you know, over time, that will help you change those things that you want to change.
Yeah, man. I'm focused. I'm focused on the future, and I'm focused on, you know, just going back to just being the best I can on and off the course. And I want to inspire people too, especially now that I'm 35 years old. I want to inspire people that you can still win at this age. And I feel like I still have that competitive drive to want to be the best player in the world. And even though I'm not number one, I still have the belief that I can put together a good weekend of disc golf and come out on top. And I think that alone will not just change my image for like a positive, but I think that'll give me a lot of like fulfillment that all of us, we all want to win. We keep showing up and we keep taking these beatings on the course because we know that our best can still come out on top, man. And, you know, I wish the best for everybody out here on tour because I know what kind of sacrifice it takes to be a professional disc golf player. It's all of us, no matter what bracket of life or no matter what your background is, or if you come from money or if you don't come from money, it's still a commitment to go out and be a professional disc golfer. And this shit is not easy. It's not for everybody.